Well, hello there, and welcome to the After Movie Diner's new show. It is VHS Corner. Over the last year or so, I've been sourcing a lot of movies for my movie store, Be Kind Movie Vault in New Milford, Connecticut. During the process of sourcing those films, you come across some movies in big boxes where you're like, I have never heard of that, I've never seen that, I have no idea what that is, but it looks right up my alley. And what I tend to do is while I'm working during the day at my desk, I have the movie playing on a screen next to me. And so what I thought I'd do is, as I watch these ridiculous VHS movies, I would do reviews of them, because some of them are rare and weird and different. Some of them I might want to call out as ones you should definitely track down and watch. And other ones are going to be ones that I tell you never to bother watching them again. However, anyone who is in the process of sort of collecting movies in general, but specifically VHS, I felt like this might be a useful channel that someone might want to watch. So this is VHS Corner on the After Movie Diner YouTube. It's our first episode. That's Natty the dog. Welcome.
3 weeks out of the Corps and you're already neck deep in shit.
Yeah. Wait till you check this mess. You ain't gonna believe it.
And first out of the VHS collection, it is Demonstone. And right off the bat, when you pick up Demonstone, you notice something very interesting on the cover. They've printed the title over to the right of the cover. It's everything else is centered, but the tagline and the title are off to the right. But you've obviously got a woman with glowing eyes, a wall of fire. VHS tapes love walls of fire. What I found out about this movie after watching it is that it was originally started by director Brian Trenchard-Smith, who is one of the favorites here at the After Movie Diner. We've both interviewed him and reviewed a ton of his films. And it's odd because it is fully credited to Andrew Prowse, the director who brought the movie home. And Brian Trenchard-Smith left the film due to health concerns at the time. This was from 1990, I believe, but possibly shooting in 1989. It's an Australian movie, but it's shot in the Philippines. And it stars Lee Ermey, everyone's favorite shouty military man, Lee Ermey. I don't even know how to describe him. I can only assume that Jan Michael Vincent, who is also in this movie, had a career because of his looks and not because of his either acting talent or indeed fighting prowess or indeed anything that you can possibly say. He would be, I suppose, if Jan Michael Vincent had just a little more on-screen charisma, because he really doesn't have very much at all. He's got a sort of young Charles Bronson quality about him, but Bronson is far superior to Michael Vincent. And if there's anything that kind of keeps this movie languishing in the Filipino brush or mud, it's probably the acting ability of Jan Michael Vincent and the fact that he just plays a kind of nondescript character. And then rounding out this distinctly American cast in an Australian film shot in the Philippines, it's Nancy Everhard, who had already been in a ton of TV shows like Airwolf, Knight Rider, The A-Team, and would go on to be in further TV shows of sort of a similar ilk. It's about a series of murders that happen throughout Manila that are exacerbated by the fact that a military man is initially accused of killing in a bar. And because of that, the American military stationed in Manila get involved in investigating the crimes, only to find out that it's really a long-running curse that has been passed on to various people in order to do their bidding. And it won't be the first time in VHS Corner that we talk about curses that can pass from one person to another and cause them to do massive amounts of killing, as it seems to be a theme through some of these movies. But Demonstone, it's not one that I can wholeheartedly recommend, because it's certainly very rough around the edges, it's very low budget, and its plot is, I wouldn't say hard to follow, but it's the dots are not always joined up, is probably the best way to put it.
You stinking Americans think you can get away with murder.
General, with all due respect, back off. Just back the fuck off. Now.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
But in general, it's a low-budget, Australian-made, Filipino-shot, American B-movie actors starring curse, murder, action film that, if it succeeds at all, it succeeds on a lot of its one-liners and its chutzpah, which, what's interesting about that is they tend to be things that you would say about a Brian Trenchard-Smith film, in the sense that while it's low budget, while he doesn't have a lot of time, money, or resources on his hands, he always manages to turn in the closest to an either lower A picture or a higher B picture on a sort of D-tier budget. There are plenty of moments in the movie where you're like, oh, that's a really charming, fun line, or, you know, that's a great little piece of action, or, oh, that's a nice grisly murder shot, or whatever it is. And there's all these elements peppered throughout the film that made me think, how long did Brian Trenchard-Smith work on this picture? Because it has, I've never seen a lot of Andrew Prowse stuff. He's mainly done TV, to be fair. He's not done a lot of feature films, and so it's difficult to compare it with his other stuff. And it may be that these were things that were already put into the script during the early production stage, where Brian Trenchard-Smith was sort of readily involved, and maybe some of those ideas were his. Obviously, normally, if anyone does, I think it's over 25% of the movie, they need to be credited, and Brian Trenchard-Smith is not credited anywhere with this movie. It's just a bit of general knowledge that he was the first director to try and mount the film, and after health concerns left and Andrew Prowse took over. So I don't know how many of the things in the movie are Brian Trenchard-Smith, or whether they just came out of either pre-production or early production meetings with Trenchard-Smith. But there is a lot of Trenchy-Smith style quips, action, and general chutzpah in the movie that made it very enjoyable.
Bye-bye.
Well, somebody's getting laid tonight.
This one's for you.
Oh, Steve, you're so good to me.
Keep or sell on? Do we sell it or keep it? Part of VHS Corner will be, well, I watch this movie, do I keep it or do I sell it on? Is it one that I will ever put in again? Is it one that I will recommend to friends? Is it one that I want to be, oh my God, I found this movie on VHS, we all have to watch it right now, and I keep it in a dusty corner just for that eventuality? I think this is a keeper. It's just a keeper. I'm not going to necessarily give it huge amounts of credit. As I say, Jan Michael Vincent is as wooden as they come. I've no idea how the man had a career. But Lee Ermey had worked with Brian Trenchard-Smith the year before this, in 1989, on Siege of Firebase Gloria. It would have been lovely to have seen what Trenchard-Smith could have done with the movie by the time it had ended. The script, at least from a dialogue perspective, seems to have been decently polished. There are some action set pieces, but I can't say that any of them are particularly memorable. But, you know, scrappy, fun, B-movie, Manila stuff.
It's a death curse.
Ah! It's the Bengano! You bastard!
The horror elements are there, but I'm not going to say they're particularly graphic or particularly horrific. It's a semi-decent, lean 90 minutes. It has a lot going for it. It has some good dialogue, And it's an interesting sort of mashup of action film and demon possession movie. I'm not going to give it a huge recommendation. It's probably a 2.5 stars out of 5 at best. But if you happen to be buying a VHS lot on Facebook Marketplace or on eBay, or you wander into a thrift store one day and see it on the shelf, it's well worth a pickup for a couple of bucks. Demonstone, first episode of VHS Corner here on the After Movie Diner. Thank you for being a part of it, Natty. I can't guarantee Natty will be here every time, but she's here this time, and isn't she beautiful? Lies down on cue, right like a pro. Just a pro. She's just wonderful. Demonstone, 2.5 stars. Check it out. It's a keeper for me, mainly because of the Brian Trenchard-Smith and Lee Ermey connection, but it might be worth putting on again for sort of a cheesy VHS fest if I have a group of friends around.
Nice fucking move.
Come on, Barry. Yes.